Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the main event. You have me, Daniel.
And Aaron.
Aaron, we're halfway through. We thought that would split these podcasts up into smaller ones instead of having to yap around for an hour. So we only have 4 games to discuss today. And obviously, we can see where we are halfway through the game week. How's your game week gone so far?
Surprisingly good. I finally got a good score. I'm on
Yeah,
96 currently.
that is good.
So I've went all in. And by the looks of things, I don't have to use my wild card next round. So that plays in quite nicely as well in the later rounds. Or it could backfire. I don't know. I'll see how that goes. But yeah, 96 currently. So what are you looking like on yours?
I'm on 83, which is giving me a red arrow.
I think it's easier to get like where you are having like a good score. People around you will have like similar teams. With me, thankfully being so low, I got a huge green arrow. I climbed 50,000 places, so
Yeah,
I'm on the up. My
that is.
redemption story.
Yeah, so I think it's just obviously with everyone captaining Lewandowski and then Benzema bagging a hat trick. Thomas Muller's killed me a little bit for my rank. It's just been, it's not. And the thing is, I've still got a fair few people to play. My 83 points are from 7
Mm.
and I have a feeling I'll be taking I might be taking Salah out, who got 2. I might be taking Alisson Becker out, who got 2. So I could be on 79 points from 5 players, which is good, but you're right where I am. Good's not good enough.
The
It's
With me, I just went with the safety of people playing on the first day, and the people who are more likely to progress. So I'll just quickly go through my team. I've had 10 people play so far, actually 11. I've already done a sub. So on the first day, Jota got me 2 points, so he's been subbed. So I'll just read you who I've got currently. Lewandowski, captain. I feel so sorry for people who haven't had him. I finally got a Lewandowski call right.
yes, well done, Aaron.
I feel good now. But I brought in Salah as one of my transfers. He's got 2, Coleman 7, Sane 14, and then I brought in Capaldo, who got me 4 points, so that's not bad. Laporte 8, Robertson 3, Kimmich 4, Alexander Arnold 5, Nuno Mendes 1.
The Kimmich clean sheet wipeout was particularly frustrating for me.
Yeah,
because the weathered a storm at the beginning of the game, and then Nagelsmann's just trolling us at this point by changing 2 of the 3 centre backs and not changing to a back 4 when the 5-0 up. It's just infuriating.
Yeah, that was frustrating. I'm looking at Kimmich potentially being one of my transfers out, because I transferred out my Man City assets except Laporte. So my main worries, I've got 3 players left to play. Danjuma, Haller, and Mendy. So I've got no Chelsea defense, which if I didn't bring in Robertson, I would have brought in Reece James. So that seems like a good call. But I don't have anyone like yet in terms of who loads of people around me have got multiple Chelsea defenders. So that could be a slight decline in the ranks, but hopefully it's a green arrow overall with a game week, but no captaincy changes or anything like that. What about you?
So I've had Lewandowski play, Salah play, Sane play, Laporte, Kimmich, Alexander-Arnold, and Alisson Becker, which means I've got Kai Havertz, Thiago Silva, Haller, Anthony, Danjuma, Kante, and I would have had Reece James if he hadn't got injured. And I've got Rooley, so I can bring them all on. In terms of who I'd want to take off, though, at the minute, it's just Salah, really. Because how confident am I that Kante or Danjuma is going to get more than 4 points? I'm not too sure. So we'll probably just have to see how the Ajax boys do, see if any of them mess up. I need a miracle to get through our Champions League at the minute. I need Anthony and Havertz to just go off, to just go absolutely mental, which I doubt will happen. Kimmich is definitely on the chopping block for me. He was going to be on the chopping block this week, but Cancelo's injury or illness meant that I decided to ship him out. So I will be transferring out Kimmich for Cancelo, most likely. I think that's a pretty obvious choice. That'll save us 0.3 million or something as well. So that'll be put back into the team somewhere else. And I might have to have a little reshuffle of a few players, but I want some of the stronger teams. I'll obviously wait for the draw to come out. Probably won't go Cancelo if Man City you've got Bayern Munich, for example. But,
yeah. I know it's only halfway, but I've managed to close the deficit between me and Nitesh in our one. I wasn't like I said, just lucky to be in this round. I'm not looking to get further with my current state of team, but so let's go into the matches, I reckon. So I think starting with Bayern Munich Salzburg, 7-1 in the end. Lewandowski, 25-minute hat trick. So, well, he scored a hat trick within 25 minutes. It didn't take him that long to actually, once he got going. It's almost a shame that he didn't score more. I know that's just being greedy, but he still got assist. He still got an assist and player of the match and won the 2 penalties. So I cannot complain at all. I just feel sorry for people who try to be differential, Captain Salah and stuff like that. So they're obviously just hoping that one of their captains gets a good return. They're kind of playing catch up. But what did you think? What games did you watch first of all? Like, did you manage to catch any? I know you've not been feeling too well.
I watched the Bayern Salzburg game in bed, and I flicked over on the odd occasion to the Liverpool Inter game, but it just didn't look anywhere near as interesting.
It wasn't. So you can guess which one I watched.
The Inter game. Yeah. It's good because it means I can talk about the Bayern game and you can talk about the Inter game.
Yeah.
Last night I was flicking between the two because I wanted to watch the PSG versus Real Madrid game, but I was having some issues with my telly, with what, for whatever reason, with BT Sport 3 or whatever it is. It kept on jumping around, so I was getting frustrated and going back to the boring Man City game. But I've seen the highlights and stuff, and I did manage to catch some of the game. Mm-hmm. But did you manage to see any of them from last night?
Yeah, the Real Madrid Paris game. I watched the whole of that. So just because it was the only one with like more at stake. So
yeah.
So I guess going through the Bayern Munich game, Lewandowski great. I was actually debating with one of my transfers whether to go Salah or Gnabry, but Gnabry meant I had to take Kimmich out, and I was like, do I want to do that? Because then that would be into minuses, and I was like, I don't want to take too many hits. Caveat: I did take a -4, so I'm technically on 92 points, but that's still okay. So when I saw that Gnabry had scored, I was like, man, that didn't pay off. But then when he got brought off in 45 minutes, I was like, maybe I did get away with it. But overall, like, what did you think? It was definitely Bayern Munich had a point to prove, showing that the last performance was a fluke.
Yeah, they got a bit lucky. It could have been 2-0 to Salzburg.
Yeah,
pretty easily. Don't get me wrong, Lewandowski looked lively from the get-go because he had that shot early doors. I was nervous with them playing that formation. I think once that first goal goes in, though, Salzburg just had all the wind knocked out of them. Then the second one, especially with the way that it goes, with the free kick to then being overturned into a penalty, the game was done. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely done. And then they just ran completely rampant. So I think it could have been a very different story if it was Capaldo that missed that chance.
I was when I saw that when the obviously you'll know in our group chat with all the other content creators, I kind of don't have to watch the games. It's almost like a better commentary than what you get on most apps, to be fair.
Yeah.
So when I saw that Capaldo had gotten close, I was like, no.
Yeah.
That would have been a stroke of genius if he had scored, but
Yeah, it would have been.
But yeah, like Salzburg are never a team that is just going to like sit back and just take a beating, even though they did. Like even though Bayern Munich did beat them by a big deficit, I don't think that Salzburg, like, they were never just going to sit back with their heads down. They were going to try and get a few goals and just give Bayern Munich a good game, give a good account of themselves. They're improving year on year, so I'm excited to see them back next year, and I with more exciting young talent and some interesting cheap picks for next year.
I mean, they gave Bayern the game, really, didn't they? The defending, obviously,
it was the same defender. It was almost like the defender had Lewandowski in his team.
Yeah, 100%. The turn for the first goal, for the first penalty, was absolutely amazing. He's mugged him off. I don't know what he's doing trying to get in across him. Like, if you're going to wildly lunge, then stick a foot between his legs to like toe poke it away as he's shooting, or something like that, maybe. What to go through him's crazy. So Bayern Munich were helped a lot with that. And then, yeah, like you say, it was the exact same turn. That's mugged off the player again. So, yeah, it was at Vorber. Is that who it was? Shocking. So it could have been a very different game. But two mistakes from the same player being particularly bad at defending is handed to them, and then everyone's just ran completely riot. I thought Sané was absolutely brilliant in the game. Muller was excellent. I mean, a lot of the Bayern players were excellent, and it ultimately came down to them conceding when they'd made 5 subs. I don't like the 5 substitutions. The Man City game, they did it as well, which is nice, obviously, that they've been able to give some kids a run out. But the games are dead.
Yeah.
Like,
it's almost like half, friendly, like.
Yeah, 100%. The second half of the Bayern game was a total dead rubber. All of the Man City Sporting Lisbon game was a dead rubber. Yeah. So it's something they need to look into. I know it's for player fitness and all this, that, and the other, but it feels like there's just no competition sometimes.
Yeah.
So it can be a bit boring. Obviously, like, it was a joy to still watch Bayern score a couple of goals in the second half, and Salzburg's goal was really good. But there was also a lot of just deadness in the game, especially when Bayern have got a bunch of people that haven't really played for them this season come in. Like, Rock hasn't played too much, although he is a good player. They brought in the 2 defenders. Choupo-Moting came on. Just like, this isn't Champions League level anymore. So I'm not a fan of the 5 substitutions. I definitely don't want it in the Premier League at all. It's not for me.
I agree with you, but especially with restrictions kind of lifting, I think it if fixtures start to get rescheduled, maybe the 5 sub rule works. But like, we've done pretty well to keep it on track, so I don't see the point in it anymore. Get back to normal. But obviously, big teams will have big mouths and they'll shout to get it more because it gives them an advantage. In terms of the fantasy, you obviously, Muller got to you just because of Nathan, but also other people around you, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
I think you nailed it in terms of on your preview with Nathan, basically saying that Coleman, if it's like a 1-0 crunch game, Coleman is the one that will step up. But if it's a hammering, he won't be in and amongst the goals. That's just kind of his thing. So once I saw the score was starting to rally up, I was like, all right, just get an assist. Just get an assist.
But he did, didn't he? Did he get an assist for Gnabry for the 3rd, I think?
So I'm quite happy. The defense let us down, though. I think not many ball recoveries on either side. So it was just basically, if you had a goal scorer, you're in a pretty good position with these. And I think obviously the Lewandowski captain decision has made or break a few game weeks and has been a rank killer if you try to go differential.
Yeah.
Especially when you have lots of dead teams who still have Lewandowski captain from the group stage. In terms of the other game, Inter versus Liverpool, a lot closer game. Inter coming out the winners on the night, but unfortunately not enough to progress. It was a very interesting game because obviously we'd all heard like different pundits and things say that Inter played so well in the first leg, but Liverpool ultimately won 2-0. And I heard when you and Nathan were saying that on the night, they probably played well everywhere else except the final third. So with that in mind, I had transferred in Robertson. Basically, I was pretty confident that it would keep another clean sheet.
Yeah.
Lautaro's just in unreal form at the minute. Hat-trick on the weekend, unreal goal tonight. It's just a shame that he's done that when I've not had him in my team. He finally, I mean, I was never going to have him, but yeah, I think that's just typical of me and my fantasy career. But
yeah, it's your fault. You brought Robertson in, and that's why they conceded, because it's an awful goal to concede. Matip has had a howler. I don't know who he's even trying to pass to when there was a free pass down the line, like or inside. Maybe I cannot remember, but there was a free pass. If anyone watches it back, there is a free pass available from just knocking into someone's feet. And then at least if there's a mistake by that player, it's further up the pitch. They've got to go through more, gives Matip more time to get back into position. It was so bad.
I think the biggest point of this game was because it was a great finish, but 2 minutes later, that Sanchez red card, arguably he should have had one earlier in the game. And I've heard very mixed things about this, where people, I think it was Ali McCoist, actually, and a few people on BT. They were saying that the game's gone, that he won the ball, but that follow through was deemed a red. Did you see the challenge, or what's your opinion on it?
I think the first one is probably a straight red card.
I would say the first one's more of a red.
Like, there's no, like, whether he followed through or not, there's no excuse to putting your studs into someone's thighs. Like, that isn't normal. And then it kind of makes you think about the second one. Mm-hmm. Well, he's done that before. Is he playing coy here? I think he might have been. That being said, I don't even think the second one's a foul. Like, but by the laws of the game, it is. By the laws of the game, the referee got the right decision. I think there needs to be a change in the law. That it's not the referee's fault. And yeah, is the game going? I think so, in a certain way like that, because has he endangered an opponent? He's put his foot, he's got the ball, and then another player has continued to run into his path. He's won the ball. I think it's total nonsense. He should have been sent off for the first one, just a straight red anyway. But if you're judging them separately, I don't even think the second one's a foul, genuinely. But by the laws of the game, it is, and it is a yellow card, so he had to be sent off. But I think we need to complain about the laws, not necessarily the referees themselves sometimes. I mean, you know me, I love slagging off a ref, Aaron. But I think sometimes the hands are tied with awful rules by people that have never played the game, that want to hand so much of an advantage to attackers because they want to see more goals, because goals generate revenue.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think that killed the game, to be honest. That because at that point had the momentum, and then it was just straight away killed, and then Liverpool could just see out the game. So it was a shame about the ending because it built up to a big climax, but unfortunately, it didn't plan out that way. I think Inter Milan did paint a good picture of Serie A currently, but I guess just it's still Liverpool are one of the best teams in the world in the whole of football. And I think they'll go down as one of the best sides, because like they're going toe to toe with Man City, and they'll be going down as one of the best sides as well. It's kind of the same way we look at Barcelona and Real Madrid when Ronaldo and Messi were there. Like, we remember both teams, even though Barcelona were more successful. So I think Liverpool will be similar to them, and Inter did the best they can, but they're just like golf and quality in the end. Fantasy wise, I don't think many people had Inter defenders for the clean sheets. So people probably missed out on their points.
And I think a lot of people would have had De Vrij, and he got subbed off at half time or something before the hour. So I think if they had him, they were really knackered. Because there's only 3 defenders that people are going to have, isn't it? De Vrij, Skriniar, and Dumfries.
Yeah.
They're surely the only 3.
And Skriniar was the one that came out on top and got the player of the match points as well. Yeah. Crucial interceptions, and played really, really well. I think someone moving forward that I'm a bit nervous about is Jota. Even though he played this game, I do think that Diaz, Mane, Salah will probably be the front 3 moving into the next rounds. So Jota is on the chopping block for me. Anyone in this game that you need to get rid of or are thinking about getting rid of?
Now, but Alisson, Trent, and Salah, I'm happy with them.
It depends on the draw and who you bring in.
Yeah, depends on the draw. Again, if teams are getting Man City, Bayern Munich, I'm likely not going to want them. But I mean, we've got Trent for his attacking returns anyway.
Yeah,
and Salah scored against Man City earlier on in the league, and that's the difference, is that you always believe Salah can score against anyone. There's 2 sitters in the game, but you always believe he can score against anyone. Jota, I don't believe that at all. I think Jota, I don't want to disrespect him by calling him a stat pad or anything like that, but has he scored against big teams?
I wouldn't be able to say. People will probably put it in the comments. Definitely give us a message on Twitter, shout at us through your keyboard. If we've not thought of it.
Jota has scored against any big teams in a big moment. It's a bit like what we talk about with players like João Cancelo and stuff, where they're absolutely phenomenal against a certain level of opposition, and then against quality, they're not really there. I find Jota's probably a bit like that, whereas I don't think Luis Diaz is. So I think you're right. Moving forward, Luis Diaz looks like a stronger pick, but you want players that can play well in big moments, and that's what people have been rewarded with, like your Sanes and your Lewandowskis and your Mullers, all these ridiculously talented, experienced players that have done it, that have won it. That's what's important at this stage now, I think, for when we're going ahead picking players. And Salah scored big goals against big teams. Like I say, he scored against Man City earlier on. He scored against Chelsea in the past. He scored a pen in the Champions League final. Mane scored a goal in the Champions League final. Big players. Yeah.
And if Diaz if he's the left winger, Mane playing as the central striker makes him a good differential, because not many people will be able to afford him. But he'll also be playing out of position. So that's really good moving forwards as well. In terms of speaking about players who perform well against a certain type of quality, and then when they come against opposition, they crumble. Paris Saint-Germain and Real Madrid. Real Madrid coming out the winners 3-1. What a game. I thought it was over when Mbappe had scored. He had 2 other disallowed goals as well. He had so much room to run into. When I was watching, I was like, what is Carvajal doing?
Must have been told. That must have been an incomprehensible tactic, because you'd sub him off if he was doing not what he was told and he was doing that. You'd sub him off. You'd just be like, What are you doing?
Yeah,
I'll put
thank goodness that
Nacho.
Militao is fast. Like, honestly, they were so lucky in that regard. But I guess it worked because they kept playing him offside. But Courtois like had to come up with some clutch saves. So I thought it was over when Mbappe had scored, but just Paris Saint-Germain just crumbled. Like after that, like defense, like we've seen better defending in our football games that we've played, and they are not the best quality. um, so like they just completely crumbled. It's kind of like what would we look like playing against Real Madrid? That's what it looked like.
Yeah,
But what summed it up for me was Benzema scoring. Obviously, he scored his hat trick, but his second goal, and then 12 seconds later, scored another one. That
yeah.
was
So
insane.
mentally, even like as good as Modric's pass was, because it was world class, such a good pass. There's no way that should be able to get through to Benzema.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how was he free? How was he just stood there in his bright, shiny white kit, stood in the box with no one anywhere near him? It's a disgrace. I don't understand how one of the centre backs hasn't just got touch tight to him. It's Benzema. Just get in there. Ridiculous. Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous. The first goal as well, Donnarumma, what's he doing? What, like, you're 2-0 up. Just kick the ball out of play. It's not
The amount
for a
of
corner.
times that Benzema has done that. Obviously, he did that against Liverpool as well. Like, he's just an absolute genius of a striker. And we say it all the time on the podcast. We always forget how good he is until moments like this happen, and we're like, yeah, he's great. Like,
I'm quite grateful. There was Jamie Carragher put a poll up on Twitter. It said, who's the best player on the pitch tonight before the game? It was Mbappe, Neymar, Messi, or Benzema. Benzema got the least amount of votes. I'd voted for Benzema. And then Mbappe scores, absolute worldie. Has another disallowed. I'm like, oh, I'm glad no one can see what I voted for. And then obviously he turns up, smashing in a hat trick. I was like, oh,
yeah,
I don't feel silly now. I don't feel like I'm being like, having like a pretentious football opinion.
Yeah.
So good.
But like
so good.
He really is, but also Vinicius has come such a long way. Obviously, we don't get to watch La Liga every week, but Vinicius had Hakimi on toast. Like
another one of those players. We've talked about Hakimi in the past. Hakimi can't defend. People will talk about Hakimi being the best right back in the world or whatever nonsense. He's absolute dog shit.
Yeah, literally, he literally is.
He's perfectly capable of playing as a wing back in a back five or 3-4-3 or whatever you want to play, where there is a right-sided centre back or left-sided if he's playing on the left to come cover him in defensive situations, and then you can just sort of stand there in a back five and close off the space, whatever. And he's obviously terrific, traditionally going forward. Cannot defend, cannot play in a back four, can't do it. Never has been. We've said this 2 or 3 years now, pretty much since we started this podcast. Wow, how bad is he at defending? He's so bad. But people only want to look at attacking numbers for fullbacks now, and it's a joke. Like, they're a fullback. Their job is to defend. And yes, if they can get goals and assists like Trent and Reece James do, or even like Cancelo does, terrific. But your number one job when you're up against Real Madrid players that you're playing right back is to stop them from scoring, especially when you're 1-0 up.
Yeah. And like, obviously, they're proving that the Premier League fullbacks, I think there's not any, I was going to say there's not anyone, but off the top of my head, is there anyone as good defensively showing as the Premier League fullbacks? Like, because Trent did well clearing it off the line, showing his defensive capabilities. He's starting to improve defensively. We're seeing that. Reece James is unbelievable. Robertson, unreal. Like, Cancelo, he's not the best defensively, but at least for Portugal, he plays in a defensive team and still does a job. So, like, and then people throw Hakimi in there probably just because he's good on FIFA. Like it's a bit annoying to be honest, but in terms of this game moving forward, obviously Real Madrid assets. I don't know if too many people had them, especially with how the first leg went. But is there anyone that's kind of you're looking at? Especially, I can see a few people potentially going Mbappe to Benzema for the next round. But is there anyone that you've got your eye on?
Either Vinicius Junior or Benzema. I
Yeah.
wouldn't really go anywhere else probably.
The
But
defense is too expensive for me. I was having a look and comparing it to Chelsea defense because obviously I need to transfer some of them for the next round. Um, the I think Reece James 5.6 is like, but the cheapest starting defender for Real Madrid is 5.8, which is Militao. I'd rather have Reece James, and I think Thiago Silva and Christensen are also 5.8.
Yeah, Christensen probably won't play.
But like,
He's out of
it's whether you
Chalobah.
would have them
Did you
over.
listen, did you listen to the spaces that Lewis and I did?
I listened to the first little bit because I had work, but
He was saying that he expects Chalobah to play a lot more minutes.
I'll take that.
And he's 4.7 million or something.
Yeah,
So
that would be
yeah,
a good transfer from Nuno Mendes to him. We're just wrapping up this round of fixtures. Man City, Sporting, game was over. Clean sheets. Obviously, there was a makeshift defense with a few last minute injuries. So those who had Laporte in, great. I don't know if too many people tried to chance the rotation. I didn't. But people were. I mean, Jesus almost scored, which would have been a Mahrez assist. But
thankfully wasn't.
yeah. So I guess that Man City, I don't think anything changes. I probably just have to find a way to get these players back in my team. Again, it just depends on the draw. But there's not. I don't think there's too much talking points in this game. So I think Sporting did a good account for themselves overall in the competition. We were calling them the weakest pot one team. They did very well in the end. And it's just the quality between Man City and them. I wasn't expecting them to get out of the group with how it started. So overall, though, I'm quite happy. I'm looking forward to the next 4 rounds. I miss Champions League football. I wish they were just all on one week, kind of like how the Europa League does it. But
yeah,
that's just me being greedy.
Yeah, they just want all that money, don't they? Because they could have 2 games on at 5:45 and 2 games on at 8.
Yeah, but if you spread it out throughout the night as well, like it out throughout the weeks. But anyways, definitely make sure to keep following us on Twitter at UCL Fantasy Pod. Subscribe to us on YouTube because we are going to do a few more live streams. And as you heard Dan mention, he runs a space with FPL reactions, Lewis, there. So, and that's always before the deadline. And so definitely, if you want more like things like that, definitely give us a follow on Twitter and also live streams. We're going to be doing a few more of them. So subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss anything.
Did you not hear that that Spaces is now going to be run through Fantasy Football Scout?
I didn't. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so Lewis has been working really, really hard with everything fantasy related anyway. He's a maniac. So
AFCON comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to be a part of an AFCON Twitter private group. It's far too niche. But no, he fully deserves it. Such a great lad. But he's been working with Fantasy Football Scout for a little while, and they've asked him to do the spaces through the Fantasy Football Scout account. So we will, when we are involved in the spaces, it will be through Fantasy Football Scout account. Right. I imagine anyone that follows us follows them. If you don't, what are you doing? Go follow them. They're massive. And I listen to them every week for fantasy football advice. Yeah. So yeah, that's really good for us because I think Fantasy Football Scout was them and Planet FPL were the first 2 that I ever listened to when we used to work together, Aaron, and that made us think we can do this. So that's a nice little feeling.
Yeah, definitely. So subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. And hopefully everyone has a green arrow next week, and hopefully someone's captain delivers. I'm just hoping that I've got a green arrow.
No one around me is getting a green arrow.
Except
no
you.
one. Get red arrows galore around me, please. Thank you.
And let's hopefully you make a comeback and beat Nathan the same way Real Madrid beat Paris Saint-Germain.
It's going to take a miracle. It's going to take a Havertz, Anthony miracle. But we'll see.
No pressure. All right, I'll see you later. Thank you everyone for listening. Bye.
Bye now.